there and welcome to my channel. Today's project is part of the Altenew December blog hop as they are releasing a new set of embellishments and a new set also of alcohol markers and the new colorless blender. Now, I was lucky enough to receive one of the markers. This is set E and it has some shades of yellow and green and a little bit of gray. Love them. And also the blender. And the beauty of this little marker is that's gonna help you soften some lines, erase mistakes, and also those harsh marks that sometimes alcohol inks can leave behind. So the stamp set that I'm using is called Perfectly Perfect. And you're gonna see that what I did is I stamped it on top. I'm using marshmallow cardstock with black archival ink. And all I'm gonna do right now is I'm gonna start coloring. It's all based on how we're gonna shade this flower. One of the reasons I picked this set is because you can do a lot of shading to it. So all I'm doing is going with the lightest color of yellow, which in this case is Sun-Kissed, and I'm starting to color the petals starting from the center out towards the outside. And you're gonna see that along the way I'm gonna shade and I'm gonna make mistakes, not on purpose. Just mistakes that happen. So I'm gonna bring in my blender, and what is gonna help is, like I said before, it's gonna help me clean those lines when I went outside of the little perimeter of the flower. But at the same time, it's going to help me soften the lines of the marker. Now, one of the tricks when you're using or coloring with alcohol markers is that you can dilute for a little bit the time of the ink by just by touching the tips of the markers. So in this case, if I'm touching the yellow onto the alcohol, to the blender, it's just going to transfer a bit of the ink, so pale the color. So it's going to help me create the shading. Now, once I have, I'm going to say like the first base, all I'm going to do is I'm going to use the same marker. I'm still using Sun-Kissed just to go over some of the lines. I'm still creating shade. And again, I'm working from the center outward, and then I'm going to use my blender just to soften some of the lines. Once I have that in place, I'm going to go ahead and go to the next color, which is orange cream. And I'm just going to start the same thing, just working on shading. I know that where the petals meet in the center is going to be darker just because they overlap. There's a little bit more shading. Wherever the petal seems to be folded, there's also going to be some shading in between there. So I'm just taking advantage of the color. And again, I'm working from the center out. And I'm going to bring my blender once in a while just to soften the lines. I don't want to see the harsh lines that I'm adding with the marker. And I'm going to, again, to shade, it's not that I'm going to go to the next color. I'm going to use the same color, but just go softly on top of the lines that I've created. And I'm going to continue that way until I reach my the design that I have in mind. And I'm actually have a picture of the flower like that comes in the back of the stamping set, so I have an idea what the shading it's if I were to use the stamp, like you know how you build a flower. So I'm just going with that, and I'm just gonna play with some of the next marker, which is actually Autumn Breeze, just to give me a little bit extra definition in the shadows. But along the way, you're going to see that I'm going to bring the blender in and out just to help me soften the lines, to help me soften the transition between the colors. And that's pretty much it. The only thing you're not going to see is that I actually did the centers. I used a little bit of the bamboo and a combination of bamboo and parrot just to create the center. Now, I love how this turned out. Super simple. It does take some time, and I color quite a bit. But my next choice, I wanted to use the limestone color, and it's like this whitish gray color, and I love it. And my idea was, you know what, I can combine these two colors into a layer that's going to be really, really vibrant. So the first thing I'm doing, same thing that I did with the first flower, and I'm adding limestone, which is the lightest color gray, just to the entire flower. But I am not going to add, I'm going to say the shadowing, I'm not going to add it with the shades of gray because then I'm going to get towards black. I'm going to add the shadow with the yellow. So I'm going to see that once I added my limestone, I'm going to go to create the shading using Sun-Kissed. And I'm just, again, working just where I know the light, what the color will show more, especially in the shadows. And I'm going to go, again, from the center outward. And all I'm doing is creating lines, kind of shading. And then I'm going to go with the blender just to soften the lines so that you don't see the defined line, but you see, again, creating shading. That's the best way I can put it. And I'm going to keep working with the same color. I'm going to go into the next one. I'm going to keep working with a Sun-Kissed for a little bit longer. And then I'm going to go into orange cream just to add more definition. I want to make sure that even though I'm creating a gray kind of flower, I'm going to bring the pop of that orange, is going to bring it to life. Love how this turned out. Again, it took a while. to create the centers, to create the leaves. Along the way, I also stamped a bit of vellum and used the alcohol markers to color. And you're going to see the card that's also included in the blog hop. Now, once I had all that, unfortunately, I don't have the die for that, so I had to fussy cut. Now, along the way, I also received this time the fine frames die from Altenew, and I love them because it's all these little frames that you can play with. So I had this idea of having, I'm going to say like little windows on my page and flowers coming out of it. And that's a picture of my daughter on the first day of grade 11. So what I'm going to do is create a background. Nothing, I'm not going to use ink this time around. I'm using art crayons, and these are the Vicky Beauty art crayons, and a stencil brush. And all I'm going to do is color the crayons on a piece of acrylic sheet, pick up the crayon, in this case with the brush, and then run it through the wavy grid stencil set that Altenew just released in November, just to create a soft background. You can do the same with inks. This brush works great with inks too, but I love the fact that it's really mess-free, really foolproof, and it works really fast. And I just want a soft definition on the background. I just want something that is gonna marry the curls of the flowers with the straight edges of the frames. And in this case, because I have that orange, I think that I picked this color from the reflection kit, this paper, and it had a lot of the reds and the oranges, and I want to play with those colors. So what I did is, once I cut the fine frames, I pulled a few of the frames because I didn't want those thick frames. I wanted different widths, and that's the beauty of the fine frames. A collection of little frames attached to one single edge that you can take apart, make them skinnier or thicker as you please. So all I did is, off camera, I added some foam adhesive, and all right now I'm doing is building them. Like I said, my idea is I want to have some windows of frames made out of frame. And I'm going to place my picture. Now, to bring out some of the yellow that I have on the flowers and also on the background, this paper is also from the reflection kit, and I just backed the picture with it and then added one of the frames. Now you're going to see me do, right now, is just build the layout. And for this, I am going to create those clusters of all those flowers. And I'm going to mix a combination of some of the oranges with some of the gray flowers just to create some shading. And I think everything is working very nice because the red and the orange is just perfect combination. And I think the gray is going to soften a lot of those rich tones. So you're going to see that I'm going to create a cluster at the top corner, top right corner of the picture, also of the lower left corner of the picture. I'm thinking a diagonal. But then I'm also going to take advantage of the frames on the left, and I'm going to add a little cluster to and also at the bottom right. So I'm thinking horizontally, top left corner of the frames, bottom right corner of the frame. And that's pretty much it. You're going to see that I'm going to set it up how I think it's going to stay. And then I'm going to take it off camera and add some foam adhesive, in between the flowers and the leaves. I want to create dimension. I want to create movement, but I don't want to bore you with me adding little pieces of foam in between. So I'm just going to take it off camera just to do that. You're going to see that I'm going to change the cluster at the bottom a little bit, just because I think I need to elongate the shape. I don't want it so square. And that's pretty much it. It did take a little bit because I played around with some of the formations. I wanted something very fluid. I wanted at the same time the florals to have movement and also cut a little bit of the squareness of the frames. And I love how this turned out, even though you see the little, like I said, to me was the idea of having little windows, but the flowers are very, very pretty. The combination of the colors work really great in this layout. So all you're going to see right now is that I love the fact that the flowers and the frames are doing a lot of the work. So I don't want to cover, I'm not going to add a lot more after this. I'm going to bring some buttons from the reflection kit, and these are the wooden buttons. And I have the one that says smile, and it had the color, that yellow that I'm using on the background. And I'm also going to bring a little heart that has those pink tones of the watercolor that is in the paper that I used. Now I'm going to use the same stamp set, and this is the perfectly perfect, because the sentiment that it says is that you are perfect, you are perfectly perfect just the way you are. And I thought it was a great sentiment for my daughter. She's going into grade 11. This is the first day in September of this year. And you know what? Next thing I know, she's going to be going to university. So I want to make sure, to reinforce the idea that she's great the way she is. And trust me, she's a great kid. Sorry. After that, I'm just going to bring a few details. These are from some sticker books that I have. Just a few. I didn't want that much. But I'm thinking that I need to add another wooden button just to have my visual triangle. So you're gonna see that I play with some ideas, and I thought about bringing the wooden button where the title is at, and I added that little heart at the top, but I think I need to change it. I'm gonna put it at the top, the wooden button, and just bring that gold accent at the bottom just to bring a little bit more emphasis. I'm gonna add the date, and I'm gonna add a little bit of the shimmer ink spray, and this is Sunkissed, just to bring some of the yellow tones on the flowers. And then I added just a few lines of journal off camera that just says, "This is Gabby on the first day of school." And that's about it, guys. I hope you check the not only the embellishments because they're beautiful, but also the markers. They're great to work with, especially if you do a lot of coloring and shading. Get the blender, the best tool ever. And thank you so much for joining me. I hope you join in the hub. There's a chance to win some gift certificates, and I hope to see you in the next video. Take care.